At 42, a man in Chicago finally gets a raise he has been waiting 3 years for. It is not life-changing, but it is enough to give him options. He could pay down debt faster, start investing seriously, build an emergency fund that actually protects him. But within 2 weeks, the money is mentally gone. A coworker tells him he should upgrade his car because you work too hard to still drive that. His cousin says keeping cash is pointless because money is meant to be enjoyed. A friend tells him investing is risky and he should just live a little while he's young enough to enjoy it. None of these people are malicious, none of them are trying to sabotage him, but every one of them is broke in a slightly different way. One has a new SUV and no savings. One makes decent money and still carries credit card debt. One talks confidently about money and has never built any. And this is how most Americans stay financially average without realizing it. Not because they are lazy, not because they are unintelligent, but because they keep taking money advice from people whose results they would never actually want. That is one of the most expensive psychological traps in modern finance. In America, people are taught to treat financial opinions like casual conversation. Everyone has one. Family has one. Coworkers have one. Friends have one. Social media has thousands. But financial advice is one of the only areas where people will confidently take direction from someone whose life is direct evidence that their strategy does not work. Nobody takes fitness advice from someone visibly unhealthy. Nobody takes business advice from someone unemployed for 10 years. But people take money advice every day from people drowning in payments, bad habits, and financial denial. That's normal in American culture, and that's exactly why so many people stay stuck. Average financial thinking sounds harmless because it usually comes wrapped in comfort, familiarity, and social approval. It sounds responsible. It sounds relatable. It sounds safe. But average advice usually produces average outcomes, and in 2026, average financial outcomes in America are not stable. They are stressed, fragile, and one emergency away from panic. And before we break down why average people give dangerous money advice and how to stop absorbing it, hit like, subscribe, and follow DollarNeck, because this channel is built for people trying to think beyond normal in an economy where normal is quietly broke. Average people give average financial advice because most advice is not based on results, it is based on emotional self-defense. That is the part most people miss. When someone tells you not to invest, not to start a business, not to take financial risk, or not to delay gratification, they're not always giving objective advice. They are often protecting their own worldview. If they avoided risk and stayed financially stuck, your ambition becomes psychologically uncomfortable for them. If they normalize debt, your discipline feels like judgment. If they built a life around consumption, your restraint makes their habits harder to defend. So average advice is rarely just information. It is often emotional projection disguised as wisdom. That is why bad financial advice usually sounds so confident. It is not trying to help you build, it is trying to help them feel correct. A coworker tells you financing a luxury car is normal because he needs it to feel normal. A friend tells you investing is gambling because never learning how money works protects his own inaction. A relative says everyone has debt because admitting otherwise would force them to confront the cost of their own decisions. This is how financial mediocrity gets socially reinforced in America, not through conspiracy, through repetition. People repeat what protects their identity, and if you keep listening to people whose financial habits produce stress, instability, and dependency, eventually their beliefs start sounding reasonable. That is how average thinking becomes expensive. It does not usually arrive as obviously bad advice. It arrives as emotionally comfortable advice. Enjoy life. You only live once. Everybody has payments. You deserve it. Money comes and goes.
None of that sounds dangerous in conversation, but repeated for years, it becomes a financial operating system built on short-term comfort and long-term fragility. That is the psychology behind average money advice. It does not usually destroy people through one catastrophic decision. It does it slowly, by making weak habits feel normal, responsible, and socially acceptable, until financial stress starts feeling like a standard part of adult life.
The fastest way to improve your finances is not just changing your habits, it is changing whose opinions you let shape them. That is the real shift. Most people do not need more financial information first, they need better financial influence. Because the people around you quietly determine what starts feeling normal. If everyone in your circle treats debt like adulthood, overspending like a reward, and financial stress like a permanent personality trait, then discipline will feel extreme, even when it is simply healthy. That is how average environments create average outcomes, not by forcing bad decisions, but by normalizing them until better choices feel strange. The solution is not arrogance, it's standards. Stop asking people for financial advice unless their results prove they understand money better than you. That includes family, that includes friends, that includes confident people with expensive opinions and unstable bank accounts. Respect people, love people, but stop outsourcing your financial thinking to anyone whose habits produce outcomes you are actively trying to escape. Learn from people with evidence, people who save consistently, people who invest calmly, people who understand delayed gratification, people who built stability before appearance. Those are the voices worth weighting heavily. And just as important, learn to recognize when advice is emotional, not strategic. If someone makes you feel guilty for being disciplined, cautious, ambitious, or financially intentional, that is not guidance, that is discomfort speaking, and discomfort gives expensive advice. A 35-year-old woman in Dallas does not change her finances because she suddenly earns more. She changes them because she stops taking money advice from people who normalize struggle and starts listening to people whose lives are built on stability. That one shift changes what she buys, how she saves, what risks she takes, and what she stops calling normal. That is how financial identity changes in real life, not just through budgeting, through social recalibration. If this made you think differently about whose voice is shaping your money, like, subscribe, and follow DollarNeck for more real-world financial psychology, smarter money systems, and practical wealth strategy built for normal Americans trying to stop inheriting average thinking in an economy where average is getting more expensive every year.